Normally, I would just play the video and then talk when needed. But I've got to speak up before I even play this video. You know, for as long as I've been covering this family, this couple, I have heard very interesting reasons of why they want to be a part of this lifestyle, why they want to have another wife. And to be honest, every time that they've both spoken, I haven't believed a single word. But there was something different about this live stream. Something different. And what was different was that I felt like this was the very first time that I've seen these two not necessarily be on the same page when it comes to the lies. The lies that come out of Mr. Garrick, Eck's mouth. Because there's some things he says and I'm like, whoa, does the Bible really say that? And then I'm like, whoa, are you sure? And then there's certain times that when he's saying certain things that are quite mind-blowing, you know what happens? Danielle can't even look at him while he's even saying it. She has to look away. Sometimes she even tries to change the subject, like, yeah, you're doing too much. But he just continues going. So just bear that in mind. Now, with that being said, let's get into it.
What is the most important quality you look for in a sister wife? Oh, that's a good one. Honestly, go ahead. You think I would do it?
I guess that you love God and you're willing to push through like the ups and downs, the good and bad, because life's difficult, relationships are hard. But I think the key to everything is just being faithful and committed. And unfortunately, I think not many people want to work through all the difficult stuff. So
yeah,
so that's a big thing. And then obviously, you know, then like they want the sisterhood, they want the family. That's super important because if you don't want that, it doesn't work. You know, and so really then it takes all of us putting each other before each other, working through, you know, our shortcomings and growing, you know, because life's a growth for sure. So
why did Natalia seem so upset about the pregnancy? Oh, somebody just said, what did they say about you? I just missed that one. There's so many go to keep coming up. I'm like, oh my god, I can't keep track. So as far as I think somebody said Natalia's jealous and like
she just, you know, everybody has to work through things, all right? You know, so it's, you know, you got to work through your feelings, emotions, like what's going on in your heart and mind. Why would that bug you? Like, I guess we've always, as a family, really stood on,
Yes,
yeah?
yes.
Like there's some scriptures that talk about what comes from God is peaceable, it's easy to be entreated, you know, but what comes from our flesh or like the devil is always like strife, it says, or jealousy, or envies, or selfishness, or anger, outbursts of anger. Like, and so you really have to determine what's coming to you, like what's feeding, like what are you feeding? Are you feeding the flesh and the devil, or are you feeding God and the Holy Ghost? Yeah. And I think that takes a lot of time to like work through that and think that through. Because I think we're in society now, we just are used to like do whatever you want, feed whatever you want, feel however you want to feel. You deserve it, like an entitlement. Like, so no one even thinks about those things anymore. So people kind of just run rogue on all kinds of feelings and emotions, no matter what it's doing to themselves or other people, you know. So.
Oh my gosh, there absolutely is a devil and the Holy Ghost. There's definitely powers of darkness and powers of truth and righteousness. I think
look at the Holocaust. Look at the thousands of murders and all the
evil
darkness that happens all the time. I just saw the other day the MS-13 gang sacrificed some woman they found, drugged her, and sacrificed her to Satan. I mean, you know, where do they get that from? You know, it comes into their minds and they feed it. So.
As far as like Natalia and the pregnancy and all that, I think something that people have a hard time with is realizing that, yeah, you can take steps to protect and do certain things, and but she's a blessing, so I wouldn't change that. But you can't control the outcome. Like you have desires, we all have desires and feelings and like wants, but God's ultimately the one that's in control. And you know you're not. So basically, you could try to do everything in your power, and you still get pregnant. There's people that try to do everything in their power to get pregnant, and they can't. So it goes both ways, I feel like. So it's just really up to God. God is the one that gives life. And like it says in Jeremiah that he knew you before you were in your mother's womb and formed you, and he called you by name. So it's really not up to us, you know. He gives life and he takes it away. So that's my feeling on that one. Wow. Sounds like you guys are trying to ignore women's intuition. That's actually a good one too. I think as women, we are very much run it, even scientifically, we're run by feelings and emotions, and there's a reason God created us that way too. You know, we raise children, we're mothers, like we're different than men, and God says that women are the weaker vessel too. We need our husbands to lead and guide us, and there's times when they're going to know a lot better than we do, and a lot of times, but also that we're, you know, united together in God's spirit, and really truly it comes down to being led of God's spirit. And I think that's the key that I've learned as I've matured in Christ, is that you can't go off of every feeling, emotion, or intuition, because it has to be what God's leading you. You know, it has to be in His Spirit, because if it's what God's leading you, have peace no matter what. And yeah.
There's a whole lot said there, and there's a whole lot more to come. And the more to come, the more outrageous it gets. But the question that I really have, really and truly, is they are speaking about God as well as they're speaking about Satan. The question that I have is, who's really in charge of you two? Or at least Garrick, Eric. And I say that because, you know, they've always said that, hey, God came and spoke to Garrick, allegedly. And he also speaks to Danielle, allegedly. But who's to say that it's not Satan impersonating God who's actually coming and speaking to you? Let's just run with it, right? What if it's Satan coming to you and saying, hey, you should go and get all these wives and basically, you know, do all this madness, right? But then let's say it's God that's stopping Satan every single time. So each time you try and find someone, there's always a roadblock, isn't there? It just didn't work out for Roberta in the end. Maybe that was God saying, you know what? No. I'm not letting Satan take over your life. So I'm going to remove her. And then you go on to Natalia and you was just about to get married. And then what happened? They said, no. What if that was God intervening in Satan's work in your life? But now let's flip it. Let's flip it. But let's say God really is speaking to them. But each time you get to that mark of Roberta, it just didn't work out. What if it's Satan saying, nah, you can't have that? But then what if with Natalia, you try to get there and it says, oh, no, you can't have that. But point being is there's two different sides of the perspective, right? There's two different sides here. And the crazy thing about it is that which side makes sense? Now, I'm going to say this. Based on how Garrick likes to word these things, it seems to me as if there's any higher power, you know, speaking to you, telling you what you should be doing, it seems to me that is more likely to be Satan. If there's any higher power trying to stop the madness, it seems to me it's more likely to be God. It's just interesting how they haven't thought about that. You know, it's just interesting that, you know, it didn't work out with Robert, didn't work out with well, we don't know if he hasn't worked out, but obviously them getting married to Natalia hasn't necessarily worked out. But how come they haven't sat there and said, you know what, maybe God is actually telling us that the plan is different now. Maybe he's saying, you know what, we're not actually built for this lifestyle. Maybe he's saying, you know what, this is a lifestyle that if you go into it, it might put you in the wrong route on the Satan path. What about that? I mean, listen, I'm probably speaking a whole lot of waffle right now, but I'm just saying, based on what these two interesting human beings are saying, you got to consider the situations. But we'll continue.
Satan's called the prince and the power of the air. So he, you know, the powers of Satan and darkness is always speaking, you know, and they're coming into your mind, so you can feed that thought.
You guys.
You know, or you don't feed the thought. And most people do feed the thought. I mean, look at Jesus. When people were talking to him, and he turned around to like hundreds of people and he called them the children of Satan, right? That's just part of this world and this life is people are run by that darkness, you know, and they can't help it. And that's why you love people that are haters and like evil people, like, and you pray for them because they can't help but fulfill them. It's their calling in life. And so, but for Christians, you have to work through that and overcome. And you can't be led of the devil. You know, you can't
I love this analogy. There's like, if you guys ever see, there's like a devil in the cartoons, like a devil and an angel on each shoulder, or one on each shoulder, and like talking in the person's ear. And we have not sold our house yet. Not yet. Hi from England. Hi Canada. Awesome. And you hear people like, it's not you. There's like spirits, there's powers, and it's like you're being fed things like the devil seeks to destroy and God comes to bring life. So it's what you're feeding and what you're listening to that has power over you. There's an old Indian proverb that we have. Garrick put it in our office, and it's really cool. It is it's like there's a good wolf, good wolf and bad wolf in each of us, and the one that wins is the one that you feed. And it's true. Like you give place to thoughts, you give place to your to things in you. So it's really the battles in our mind, and that's what I believe. Cute baby, thank you. Danielle said she didn't want a sister wife anymore. Would Garrick be okay with that? No, because it's what God called us to. Like, that would be me going with my flesh if that was the case, because God's really showed us this in so many ways. And honestly, she looks like Daddy's friend. She really does. But yeah, it's really what God led us to. There's been so many amazing things because God is always perfecting us through the good and the bad. And I wouldn't have changed living this way. I know it's God's will. So yeah. Love you guys. Thanks. Maybe you misunderstood God's plan. I would say, you know, there's just witnesses. God brings you witnesses and examples, and I guess we could go into all those. There's been countless in our lives of God talking to us and showing us many different things along this journey, and yeah, so we can't deny it. Like, I think that, like I said, nothing happens by chance or mistake. It's God's plan, and He wrote our stories down from the beginning. We believe in predestination, that everything's been ordained. He wrote the story, and He knows what He's doing, so, yeah.
Let's talk about the devil and the angel. Let's go back to what I was saying. They're talking about the devil and angel, but the thing is, though, they are convinced, or trying to at least convince us, that it is the angel that is speaking to them and telling them all these things, you know? You know what I mean? Okay, it is God telling them all these things. Why don't they ever sit there and actually think, you know what? Maybe it's actually the devil. The man himself. Why they don't ever think it's that? It's funny, isn't it, that they can use Satan's name in this conversation to justify their actions in terms of why, not why they use God, but they have gone from using God to now bringing even Satan into the conversation. But they'll only use Satan in the conversation in a way to make God look good in terms of what they want to do in life. But they won't use Satan in a way of saying, you know what, maybe Satan is actually the reason why things aren't what. Do you see what I'm saying? If you're going to bring him into the conversation, then bring him in the conversation full circle. Don't just bring him in like that. It's just so freaking irritating that when it comes to these two, like, there has to be the talk of the creator every single time. Every single freaking time. Stupidity.
Oh, you guys. We have a beautiful family. Thank you very much. Anyways, are the boys embarrassed at school since all their friends? No, the boys are not embarrassed. First off, they're homeschooled. I mean, they play sports and stuff and do things.
And honestly, like, most of our community has been, like, overwhelmingly supportive and happy and wished us well. I mean, I think we might have we ever had anybody be mean or treat anybody funny?
No, not at all.
I mean, we heard a rumor of some people wanted to.
I think the people that have treated us the rudest is, like, almost family. I mean, people we knew are the worst, to be honest, yeah. It's kind of sad, but true. Garrick, most men, I'll admit that for sure. He's very special and unique. I love that about him. Oh my God, is he abusing you? No, he's not abusing me. Oh my goodness, people. Garrick cares very much about my feelings. He's very, very loving, but he also realizes, like we just talked about earlier, that he's the head of our home. And there's a lot of times, I mean, if we're honest as women, we get caught up with our emotions and feelings, and they're not always right. And that's why God gave us a husband to help us in that way. So we hope to, maybe as we add sister wives and they live in different areas, maybe have homes in different areas in the U.S. and maybe in the world. We'll see. We've thought about different countries even. We've considered a lot of different things and just praying about it. So yeah. We honestly would love to have a sister wife in America. I mean, we're just open to what God has. Like, we honestly don't, like, sit there and look for, like, Brazilians. Like, and yeah, when Garrick said it was up to us, it'd be a Buena Vista. Like, we would pick someone, like, right here. Like, obviously it's more convenient. But God doesn't always pick what's the most convenient, but He knows what's best for you, you know? And it's been a blessing in so many ways, too, with this. I'm gonna pop up a second. So, yeah, He knows what's best for us and where He wants us and who's supposed to be in our lives, whether they speak English or another language, or, you know, it's about love and what God has for our lives. How about having a baby? Oh, and somebody asked about Garrick being attracted to people. Garrick is, of course, like anybody in any relationship, there has to be an attraction. Like, that's how God made us, too. Like, you're not going to marry someone that you're just completely unattracted to, you know? And people say, oh, Garrick has a type. It's not about that. It's just who God brings us and, like, the connection. And if there is an attraction, too, that's part of it.
Well, yeah, you have some attraction.
Yeah.
I mean, but really what matters is the heart. Like, and, you know.
You can feel when there's something different, too.
Yeah, when you meet people in person, too. Like, you just kind of know.
Yeah. Are you still on dating apps? We are still on dating apps.
We are. I don't know if we're on, what, 10
I don't think we're on 10 or 12 like we were in the episode. Oh, my God. That was so funny. Oh, gosh.
You know the thing that I wonder? Why does Danielle think that, you know, if we forget the both of them, why are they both hell-bent this lifestyle to happen? And I say that because, you know, for this lifestyle to happen, for some people it works, for some people it doesn't work. But I'm going to say, based on what we've seen on TV, you know, I say that most of the time it comes across as if it doesn't work, right? Why is it that their task to find another wife is so freaking hard? There's a sign behind that. The sign doesn't necessarily mean that you should stop looking necessarily, but there's a sign behind it. And whatever that sign is, a sign they should be looking for, rather than trying to force this whole idea of trying to bring someone into their lives. Because the whole thing is forced. Cut me with the BS. Cut me with the freaking BS.
Are these women Christians? You know, that is a big, somebody was asking too what we look for in a sister wife, and that is something for us too, is that, you wanna go down and play with that? Yeah, here, come here. We look for someone that shares our faith, definitely in our beliefs, and we realize too that like somebody might not have like a strong faith, but wanting to know God more and grow with God, and just somebody that really has a heart to know God, I think is important to us. And you know, because I feel like you know, that's something we've learned too with dating women is.
So basically, someone to manipulate. That's all I'm really hearing, to be honest with you. But whatever. Also, have you noticed throughout the video, like I told you at the very, very beginning, that each time Garrick comes in and speaks, she never actually looks in his direction for the most part. But she knows he's waffling nonsense.
God says a house divided shall surely fall. I feel like you can't, unless you share that faith and that strong foundation, when things get hard and tough, you don't get through it, you know, because you're not built on God. But when you have that strong foundation, you can get through anything, you can work through it because your focus is God, not just like the person in the relationship, you know. So you only pick hot, beautiful Latin women. How dare you? I like God people.
No, I'm open to any race, I have no type. I mean, obviously I want to be attracted to them, but it doesn't have to be Latin. It could be Irish, French, Chinese. It doesn't matter to me, you know.
And I also would say, like, there's a, would you say, it's God talks about that. It's better to marry than to burn. Because when he's talking about lust, like, there's a lust that you have in a marriage for your wife. Like,
well, I think there's a natural lust, and like, not everybody has it. I mean, Paul said, you know, he told the church, you know, that if you have that desire, that it's better to marry than to burn. Well, why? Because now you're supposed to be married, was his point. Now he said some people shouldn't even be married. He actually said if you could be like me, everybody should be like me. Don't even get married. But not everybody has the gift, like he said, to do that.
Because we are flesh. we don't go to church, honestly. We haven't gone to church. There was a church we were attending when we first moved to Colorado almost 10 years ago. But we have a pastor from Liberia, Africa, that my dad's known for, what did we determine, like 15 years? And he is a great strength to all of us in our family and a help. And we do a family every Sunday. My brother and his family come over, and we do a, why doesn't it tell you I want my sister away? We do a Bible study, or not Bible study, it's kind of like a fellowship. We share what God's been talking to us about through the week, and we worship together every Sunday. So that's kind of our thing. We do that in our house with everybody. And Natalia wanted to be...
I mean, I think everybody just wants... It's a struggle for each wife, I mean, to add, I think, to work in. Because, well, unless you just don't, hey, calm down.
Our producer, or not our producer.
So that Natalia question was never answered, just so you know. And my guessing is because maybe he wasn't allowed to. I'm not too sure. But the way he interferes and then she just diverts, who knows?
The casting director that found us for the show, he was involved with Plural Families. He said, what, like, almost a decade? He said, like, 8 years or something like that. And he said, what did you put in there?
Blackberry.
Ooh, yeah. And he said that he found with every Plural family that, you can put it in the, near hygiene. Yeah, maybe.
Give it a second.
Oh, you can give it a second. We can end it soon. But every Plural family he dealt with has struggled in different ways. Like the woman, so basically, okay, I'm losing my train of thought. I'm getting distracted with her, but so basically, like me, when we first started living Plural, it was hard for me. I struggled with jealousy, insecurity, so many things. And he was saying that each wife has a hard time when another is added. So like I had a hard time with Roberta, and like, you know, each wife struggles as another one comes in. They have to deal with their own issues, and they have to like overcome certain things and realize, like, you know, the husband still loves them, like they're very much cared about and they're very loved, you know. And I think it's a lot too, depending on your past and depending on things that you've gone through. You have to work through certain things. You know, everyone's different, but the key is just to work through it. So, yeah, let's see. We'll answer one more. Let's see. You guys have asked this one a lot. So Garrick does not have sex before marriage. I feel like that's just like a big misunderstanding. And, you know, to us, obviously Garrick can't legally marry every wife. And what God looks at is the heart. And what your heart is, if Garrick's committed and the potential or the wife that's coming in is committed, that's the key. It's for life. Like Garrick and I are legally divorced, but him and I are very much committed. Nothing has changed in our vows toward each other. I still hold to my...
I'm sorry, but he went to Brazil for 6 weeks without you to see Natalia. You're not telling me that in that 6 weeks he was there with Natalia that they didn't do the nasty. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but anyway, I'm just doing what I can, you know, just to say less and let it play. You know what I mean? But that one, I'd throw in that comment.
my vows, and I know he does, and before the Lord. And
well, I think people think like a ceremony or a piece of paper is what makes you married, but that was never God never did that. He never had that ever. If you read through like, thousands of years of people getting married together, you know, what was it? Isaac. Like Isaac, you know, wasn't it Isaac that Abraham went to get him a wife? The wife came back, saw him, they met in the field, they went to the tent, they were committed for life, and they had sex and became one. I think it was Isaac, but, right? So there was he didn't have a ceremony or anything. But it was always that God intended that we commit for life, you know, and stick it out through the ups and downs, good and bad, you know. And I think that's been lost in society since psychology and sociology entered the realm of society. No. But that has nothing to do with God's psychology and sociology. I mean, so now we have a society. I mean, I actually did one of my big papers in college about marriage, and that was the thing that I found is before the 1900s, divorce rate was unmeasurable. As soon as the 1900s hit and psychology and sociology hit, like society, divorce rate went up immediately to 50%, and which is crazy. And that was the only thing that changed in society. And I found when I did my study on it that before the 1900s, people, when they got together, they had one thing that they really stood on. We are going to be together, and we're going to be together for life.
Commitment.
And it doesn't matter the struggles, it doesn't matter the ups and downs. We're going to be together for life. And it kept people together, even because before the 1900s, there was a lot of actually prearranged marriages. And even them, they did interviews with them later in their life, and they still had that same common belief. We're going to stick it out, even though it wasn't what I wanted. But then all those people that stuck it out later in their life said that they were completely, madly in love, and so thankful they never changed a thing. And why? Well, they loved each other. Love is working through things. It's not just a feeling. It's working through all the hard times, the good times, and everything, and staying committed. That's really love, not giving up. And so love grows, you know, over time. It doesn't, I mean, it may not start out amazing at the beginning of your marriage, but if you both are committed, I guarantee you'll look back in 50 years and go, oh my gosh, we're still in love. I would never change a thing, but we've lost that in society.
That is going to be one of the longest explanations of all time. You know what? Like, this man loves to talk, because each time he starts speaking, it's a long explanation. Danielle just like, yeah. I'm just reading the comments. How are you? Yeah. She's like, yeah. You know, when it comes to them covering up their lies, it's better when Danielle comes alive alone, because she keeps her answers short and simple, even though they're lies anyway. Well, at least that's how we feel about it. When he answers the questions, he's giving us a whole freaking dictionary about it. Like, damn.
Why doesn't Garrick reassure you? He does a lot, actually. You're okay. You actually just don't see it always. You know, I think a lot of what Garrick was talking about too is love is not just like a feeling and an emotion. It's based on commitment and trusting and working through all the ups and downs in life. There's times when you guys are madly in love, you know, and then there's times when you're like, man, I just want to get away from you for a little while, you know. But you're not gonna give up, you know. Yeah. Is your husband involved in your children's life actively? Absolutely. Garrick is a very involved father, and yeah, he's a great father. I mean, we all can improve, obviously. I can improve as a mother, but yeah, he's a great dad, as you can tell this whole time. Anyways, let's see, one more, and then she's got to go for a nap. Why aren't we going to church? Honestly, it's just, we believe there's a lot of corruptness in the churches. There's many different reasons, but
Just haven't found.
The way she started off by saying, because there's many corruptnesses in the churches, as if their religion isn't corrupt.
We haven't found one really that we feel is a good fit, and you know, obviously living plural, that affects where we can go. I mean, that limits it a little bit too. I think people accepting that it's okay to have multiple wives.
Ain't it funny that for a couple that loves to use the Lord's name so many times, they don't even go to church? Obviously, I get it. Obviously, it's not that simple for them, but you know, they preach it so freaking much. It's like, but nonetheless, that is the end of the video itself in particular. That's one hell of a long video. But let me know your thoughts. And let me know your thoughts. You know, definitely wanted to say less, and obviously let you guys, you know, obviously dominate the conversation with all your thoughts and opinions based on what we just freaking heard. And like I said at the very, very beginning, there's a lot of things said in here that's gonna have you in a position where you're gonna be like, whoa, what? And at least that's how I was when I was obviously watching it before, you know what I mean? And obviously getting the parts that I needed for this video. So let me know your thoughts and your opinions, and we can mostly talk about it. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and of course, peace.